Hi there, my name is Katrina, and I'm coming to you from Stonehammer UNESCO Global Geopark. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the land that makes up Stonehammer is the traditional unceded territory of the Wolastoqiyik, Passamaquoddy, and Mi'kmaq First Nations peoples. They have lived here since the beginning and continue to live here. The history that I'm going to share with you today is one of early exploration, discovery, interpretation, and misinterpretation that occurred at Fern Ledges in St. John, New Brunswick. This topic is considered to be significant and worthy of study because of its prominence at the time, the notable individuals involved, as well as its long-lasting impact on the science of geology and the heritage of our region. Fern Ledges is one of 60 geosites that make up Stonehammer Geopark. A geopark is a special designation recognized by UNESCO that celebrates geoheritage, connecting the geological, cultural, and environmental characteristics of a region in order to enhance the well-being of local communities through education, engagement, and sustainable development. Our story of geoheritage at Fern Ledges begins in 1838, when Canada's first provincial geologist, Abraham Gesner, began his geologic survey of New Brunswick. The goal of the survey was to find coal, the primary fuel of the day, but he found many other things along the way, including all kinds of amazing fossils. By 1857, a group of young men interested in the work that Gesner had done came together to form the Steinhammer Club to further the study and understanding of the geology around St. John. 3 years later, club members Fred Hart and George Matthew located a significant fossil bed in a rock formation described by Gesner. Full of plant and insect fossils, this location would become known as Fern Ledges. This is where things start to get exciting. The age of these fossil beds was determined to be Devonian, based on the fact that younger rocks are typically found on top of older rocks. This set the scientific community abuzz. The Devonian period was when we were just beginning to see life emerge from the seas onto land. So these fossils could actually be some of the oldest terrestrial fossils in existence. An extra cool find was a fossilized dragonfly wing that appeared to have a stridulating sound organ. Think noisy crickets. This one little fossil was responsible for breathing life into the fossil record, with scientists beginning to imagine and describe the sounds of an ancient forest. Charles Darwin even mentioned New Brunswick's chirping insects in his book, Descent of Man. So, this discovery is hugely important and being talked about all around the world. But there's a problem. The actual fossils being found at Fern Ledges appear to be more consistent with younger Carboniferous ones. So, stakes are high. Devonian forests could be something really special, but paleobotanists are starting to argue that this interpretation could be wrong. Were the rocks at Fern Ledges Devonian or Carboniferous? No one could agree. After 50 years of arguments, the Geologic Survey of Canada decided it was time to settle this once and for all. With George Matthew still fighting for Fern Ledges to be recognized as the world's oldest forest, even suggesting an older Silurian age, an outside expert had to be brought in. Dr. Mary Stopes arrived in St. John in 1911 to begin her study of Fern Ledges. Even though Stopes was one of the only women working in the field of paleobotany and the youngest person to hold a doctorate in all of Britain, she was recognized as a rising star, and her work was highly regarded. Stopes quickly came to the conclusion that the rocks were indeed Carboniferous in age, not only by looking at the fossils, but also based on a brand new theory that explained how older rocks could actually be thrust on top of younger rocks. This meant that Matthew's interpretation wasn't ill-founded. He just hadn't heard of this new theory yet. Nonetheless, he was quite upset with Stopes' findings, writing a scathing letter denigrating her work. A colleague wrote that Matthew even walked the entire shoreline from New Brunswick to Maine to prove her results incorrect. However, Stopes' conclusions have stood the test of time, and today, Fern Ledges are still considered to be Carboniferous in age, and designated as a protected heritage site, with new fossils being found all the time, shedding light on our ancient past. All thanks to the contributions of individuals like Abraham Gesner, Fred Hart, George Matthew, and Mary Stopes. By the way, it turned out the dragonfly wing with the sound organ on it wasn't that at all. It was actually just a regular wing with a shell stuck to it. We all make mistakes, and geology is all about interpreting and reinterpreting our past as new evidence comes to light.